All right, yo, what up? It is time to start talking about the 2025 NFL Draft for the New York Jets. We're off to a fantastic start, not as expected. Player for player, yes, but in terms of teams, no, which could shake up the middle prior to the Jets. So Cam Ward goes number 1 overall to the Titans on it, completely expected. But number 2, the Jaguars trade up with the Browns and take Travis Hunter. So now, because you got to think about it, what are the two or three players that were 100% in play for the Jaguars at 5? Mason Graham, Ashton Genty, and then we'll just say Tedder McMillan. I don't think any of them are in play for the Browns at 5. Maybe Mason Graham, but think about it. They're not going to go Shedeur at 5. I mean, they could. Don't get me wrong. They could go at 5, especially given what they're getting. But I doubt if they're going to go a first round next year, they're not going to go Shedeur at 5. They're not going to go Genty because I don't know. I don't feel like that's going to be the reason that the Browns trade down is because they're going to go running back. Tet, no. Mason Graham, no, because they got Njoku. They let Jedrick Wills walk, so they can go offensive line. So now, assuming Will Campbell goes at 4, because Abdul Carter went at 3. So say Will Campbell goes at 4. Membou, Kelvin Banks Jr., they're in play at 5 now for the Browns. So the way that this is shaken out, I am thinking that now for the Jets, this is going to be Mason Graham or Tyler Warren. Because I just have a feeling that with all the buzz around Armand Membou at 6 for the Raiders, and then now the Browns trading down and being in play for our offensive line, assuming, I'm kind of just guessing here, I genuinely believe that Armand Membou is who we're going to see at 5. They're going to get them at 5. So Tyler Warren and Mason Graham, which is fine by me because I highly doubt that Josh Connolly Jr. drops to 42 because that's who I genuinely would want as our right tackle. Like if I'm just being dead ass honest, like I think Membou's going to be a dog offensive lineman, but in terms of specific right tackle, Josh Connolly Jr. is who I want. So let's see if Muji can trade up, or if Connerly falls for us. So, let's see what happens. So I'm going to cut right now to Jets are on the clock. All right, as a Jets fan, let's react to what the Patriots do. Will Campbell? It's fine. It's a good pick, but at least it leaves it out of our hands to potentially be tempted to take him and then deal with moving him to right, moving him to guard, because John Simpson was a dog last year, but he's only got 1 year left remaining. AVT's got 1 year left remaining, and he's injury prone. So, you know what I mean? I'm glad we're not even in that scenario. So now, potentially, let's jump to the Jets pick. All right, so kind of a change of plans. I'm going to kind of film my reaction to the Browns pick now since it's kind of potentially going to affect what the Jets do. Wow, they did go Graham. Wow. Okay. Put him and Derek Hall together on the same line with Myles Garrett. It's kind of sick. I mean, I just didn't think of it as a need. I'm not saying it was a bad fit or anything like that. I just didn't think of it as a need. All right, so Graham's off the board. All right. So it's up. So imagine if the Raiders do go Genty. Now the Jets generally do have the decision between Membou and Warren or trade down. I personally would want to trade down because I genuinely think, so say we wanted to go tight end or maybe Ted McMillan falls. We could still go weapon and then go Josh Connerly. With whatever, you know what I mean? We could trade up. I don't know. I want Josh Connerly Jr. So, but Mason Graham's off the board, officially out of the books for the Jets. Let's see what the Raiders do. All right, so the Raiders pick is in. if they snag Membou, then I gotta imagine the Jets go Warren. If they do go Genty, which was all the talk, I genuinely don't know what I would do. Warren or Membou. Let's see what happens. They went Genty. All right, Jets are on the clock. Oh! All right, so we're going to be on a serious note here. The Jets are on the clock. Tyler Warren, Armand Membou are both on the board. There was a lot of smoke talking about Shamar Stewart, Jedi Barron. Pretty much those two. Calvin Banks Jr. was another one that just came up this week. Which, again, smoke. 100% not Calvin Banks Jr. If he goes, I'll be pissed just because it just doesn't make sense. Olu Fashanu is a left tackle. He solidified himself as left tackle. We started off with the right when Morgan Moses was down, but when Tyron Smith went down, Olu stepped in, did I wouldn't say fantastic job. Rookie mistakes, et cetera, but he is the LT of the future. So, question is, do I want Armand Membou or Tyler Warren? And the real question is the difference between Tyler Warren and Mason Taylor in round 2 that big of a difference? Is the difference between Tyler Warren and Terrence Ferguson in round 3 that big of a difference? Is the difference between Armand Membou and Ursary in round 2 that big of a difference? Preferably Connerly if he drops in round 2. I'm going to say, give me, under the assumption that Josh Connerly Jr. is not going to be there in round 2, and the Jets aren't going to trade up for a right tackle, give me Armand Membou. That's who I want. Solidify this offensive line. Olufashinu, John Simpson, Joe Tippmann, Elijah Vera Tucker, who is the asterisk because of his injury history, and Armand Membou. Let that be our starting 5 offensive linemen. Protect Justin Fields. Set the tone for Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, and Isaiah Davis. And allow Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson, and whatever round 2/3 offensive weapon that we get, Breece Hall, Malachi Corley, hopefully, to figure it out. So, in the moment, Armand Membou. But I will say, if we go Tyler Warren, I won't be mad at all. If we go Colson Loveland over Tyler Warren, I wouldn't be mad at all. If we go Ted McMillan, even though I will say, as a Garrett Wilson fan, I did not want Drake London. And Ted McMillan is a Drake London, neighbor in terms of style. As a complementary piece to Garrett Wilson, I'm fine with it. Back, a couple years ago, 3 years ago, when it was between Garrett and Drake London at the time, before obviously Drake went first, I didn't want Drake London because I didn't want him to be the guy. Garrett's the guy. So if we do draft Tet, I can work with that. Because think about it. Look how good Alan Lazard did. Relatively speaking. Look how good Alan Lazard did last year. Opposite of Garrett Wilson. Technically pre-Devontae Adams at the time. You know what I mean? So, a Tet McMillan type next to or opposite of Garrett Wilson with Breece Hall and company in the backfield, with hopefully Justin Fields taking care of the football, getting it out quickly. I do think that would be solid. So I would not be mad if we go Tet McMillan. So picks would be my preferred pick, my number 1 pick, Armand Membou. My number 2 pick, do I want Tet or Tyler Warren more? Matthew Golden. You know what I mean? Like, give me Tyler Warren just because of change of pace, just stylistically. I think he would be the best complement to Garrett Wilson as the number one in the offense. So go Armand Membou, Tyler Warren, Ted McMillan. Those are the three that I want. If we skew outside of that and we go defense, I know a lot of people hate the Jedi Baron possibility. At 7, yes. But given Aaron Glenn's background as a specifically a corner, his ability to utilize defensive backs, i.e. Brian Branch, Roll Tide, I think that Jedi Baron would be a fantastic pick. Once again, at 7, I don't want to say the word reach, because him as a player individually is not a reach. Him in comparison to our offensive needs, sure. If we go edge, Shamar Stewart, honestly, is my favorite. I want the upside. Everyone hates on the Trevon Walker pick over Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson's been a dog. Potentially already Hall of Famer, you know what I mean, at this point. He's been that good. Trevon Walker has been really good. Just because he's not Aiden Hutchinson doesn't mean he's not really good. You know what I mean? So traits is not an issue. Production's not an issue. Scheme, coaching, the person. If they met with them and they like who he is as a person and they believe in him, I'm cool with that. So Shamar Stewart, I would not be mad at that. I technically don't want defense as a defensive person. You know what I mean? I love defense. Defense is what brought me to become a Jets fan. You know, what? 14, over 15 years ago now at this point. You know what I mean? So Shamar Stewart I'd be fine with. Would be okay with Jalen Walker. I love the versatility. Utilize. If Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilkes can utilize a player like that, just like with Jedi Baron, I think, all right, the pick is in. Doesn't look like there's a trade. Jets, 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 Jets. Yes! Let's go! Yes, sir! Offensive line is set. Let's go, baby! Olu, John Simpson, Joe Titman, AVT, Armand Membou, Justin Fields. You're on the clock. Let's go.